All right, we're here at my urban worm bag, and today we are going to harvest it, and then we're going to go back up top and we are going to refeed it. Now, I have been trying to punch this thing, but it is completely solid. I like to try and loosen it up all around before we harvest, but we have a lot in here. It's been 3.5 months since we harvested. So let's get started. First thing we got to do is undo this little cord here. And this is a bladder that kind of fills up, and it comes with a compartment here that attaches, but I like to have this mortar tray underneath it. This may take me a little bit because it has been, like I said, 3.5 months. All right, I figured it out. You got to push the thing down and it comes out, but like I said, if it's been a while, it may take a little bit longer to get undone because it has had some castings juice in it and it also dried out. All right, there we go. Mostly user error. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and some should fall right out, and it is. And it tapers down right here, so it shouldn't all come out at once, but we're just gonna kind of scrape up through the top and get some of these castings out. And I actually brought the rake from my Vermihut to help me out this time. So we'll use this guy right here to scrape underneath and just kind of get all the castings out. Now I'm going to try and get a whole bunch out, and I am starting to see some worms with the castings, but that's okay because we can always get those worms out in our storage because we can put a bait cup in. Now most of the worms are probably up towards the top because that's where we fed them last, and the urban worm bag instructions advise you to feed maybe 2 days prior, and that will kind of entice them to go up and prevent them from being down here where you are trying to harvest. And guess what I did not do? I have not fed them yet. So let's just keep digging and see what we get. Whew, lots of good stuff in here. All right. Now, as I feel it, I am right about to this level right here. So I'm gonna keep digging and I'm gonna go further than I ever have before because I have some garden beds that I want to fill with new garden soil, and I'm not going to use what's in the ground. I am going to make my own with this vermicompost. So I'm going to show you that in another video. All right, I'm just going to take this out and show you what I have so far. Check that out. That is pretty cool. This, I'm not even sure what this is. We're going to explore that later. So let's keep going. Now, I am not afraid that all the contents of this are going to come out. I still feel it packed pretty tight up there, and everything is pretty moist. I'm pretty happy about that. I don't feel any kind of dryness to it. And what's going to happen is I'm going to create like a cavern here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch it down again to try and get all the contents to pile up right back into this bladder. So let me just keep going. Okay, I think that's about all I'm gonna do because I am actually way up, probably about this level right here, and that's further than I've ever been. So let's just pull this out and kind of take a look at what we have here. Oh, check out all these awesome castings. There's some that are clumps, but they're coming right apart. This right here looks like some kind of plastic or something. So we're gonna put that to the side. We're gonna put this to the side and we'll explore it when we go inside to feed the bin. So check it out. This is awesome. We're gonna go ahead and weigh this and kind of take the volume by putting it in a 5-gallon bucket and see how much we came up with here. But this is some incredible, dark, awesome castings. This is gonna go great in my garden. So now all we have to do is tighten this back up, and I'm just gonna clean my hands up with this, which we're gonna get back to in a second. And I'm just gonna pull it tight so that the bladder gets completely closed, so the hole is as small as I can possibly make it, so that I don't get anything falling out of it when we're doing all our feedings and everything. And then I'm just gonna push this back up, much easier now that I've loosened it up. And here's the most important part. Let's go ahead and beat this thing down and get all the contents to come down here. Manny, get out of there, you rotten dog. All right, we've got some castings in here. I think I need to punch it more is what I think. All right, I think that'll do. And that is our little dog, Minnie, who is wondering what the heck is going on. So let's go ahead and go back up to the top. You ready to go, Minnie? And let's feed this bin. So we ended up having about 20 pounds or 9 kilograms, and this is kind of the stuff that was left in the castings that I just wanted to explore. And you know what? I think this is an avocado pit. This to me looks like maybe a broccoli stem that I had put in there that's just lasted that long. And this for sure is a pumpkin stem. So let's go ahead and put all this in. This I thought might be some pumpkin skin or something like that, but it really is plastic. I can tell it's plastic. So let's save all this stuff for the feeding zone, and let's go ahead and unzip and get right in here. All right, so we did lose a little bit of depth all around this from kicking it and getting it all released down here. And last time we were in here, we gave a pretty big feeding and we put some damp shredded cardboard on top. So that's what we're seeing, and I'm seeing a lot of avocado and some banana peels. So let's go ahead and review what we put in here last. First, we flattened out the old bedding, then we put in several banana peels, a lettuce stalk, some onion ends, an apple core, strawberry tops, and then I decided to just dump in the rest of the container of food scraps. Next, we spread out that pile and dumped in another container containing lots of greens and banana peels. It was a pretty big feeding overall. Finally, we added our amendments of worm chow, a whole bunch of coffee to include dumping in the whole container, and pulverized eggshell grit. And then we buried it with damp shredded cardboard, and that is what we're seeing along with some of these napkins here. So I'm seeing lots of worms kind of poking out and being around some of the food. So after 16 days, let's see if any of that stuff is in there. And sure enough, check it out right there, right inside a banana. We got some beautiful worms. Beautiful worms. So let's see if we can see anything more. I don't know if we're going to get anything like the worm balls that we had from our pumpkin, but certainly we can definitely see the population is thriving and they're doing pretty well. I must have put in a ton of banana peels because check it out. They are all over them. That is great. Okay, let's pull from the sides a little bit. And I'm going to do a good mix up because I know that we put shredded cardboard in here, and I'm going to put some of our more bigger bedding that I've been saving up to put in since we just harvested. And I think I'm going to try to harvest once a month this year. That last one was, 3 months, and I like to get in more harvest out of this bin if I can. And yeah, we got a little avocado there with all kinds of great worms. Let's see if the next avocado, I thought we had a bunch of avocado right there. I guess we don't. If I find another one, I'll pour it out. But yep, here's one right here. That was inside. Let's see. This looks like mostly bedding, but maybe there's some in there. Oh yeah, right there. They just like to go in there and hide. I don't know if they just feel safer or that's where they like to breed or meet up, but they definitely like to go into those shells. Let's come over here, and I may have to dig a little bit deeper because everything went down a little bit and I want to get it nice and mixed up. Oh yeah, that's more of the banana worms. We've probably already seen those. From here to here, I'm feeling something here. I think this might be where we put in that whole thing of coffee, and I think it is right there. Yep. It's a little bit drier than the rest of the bin, so I don't see a whole lot of them through there, just the ones around bananas. Dig right here. Okay, I'm just going to dig around and aerate, and then I'll come back if I see anything really cool. Right there. Immediately, I find something cool, of course. What are they after right there? Maybe a little bit of coffee or some other kind of food scrap. Right there is a temperature sensor, and this right here is a desiccant package because I want to make sure I don't get any humidity in there, but I think the batteries have run out because it is not registering right now. And I'll tell you the truth, this thing has been in here for a while and I totally forgot about it. Here's the crazy sock that we put in here and nothing more. I mean, it is still tight. Like I could probably wash it and wear it. I don't know if it would be the same color, but this must not have any kind of natural fibers because it feels just like a regular sock. No deterioration. But I still need to leave it in because there could be worms or babies in here and I just don't want them to die if it dries out. So I've got to come up with a solution. Maybe leave it on top or something so I know all the worms are out of it. But I'm going to set it to the side for now. Ah, that's an onion. You can see the worms are on it. I don't put a whole lot of onion relative to the size of the bin, but they are definitely liking it. So we'll keep feeding them just little pieces of onions. Here's an avocado pit. I'm going to see if I can break it without shooting it at the executive producer. And, oh, I feel it coming. Oh, sounds like a challenge. There we go. All right, at least I got it in half. Okay, here's my overall assessment. Right now, this bin, besides these banana peels, is a whole lot of bedding. So we are going to give them another big feeding, and we're just going to put down a little bit of bedding for them. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's start with the old stuff in the burlap sack, and then we'll put down some of these egg cartons that I've been collecting. Let me just spread them out because I'm not going to do a feeding in one part. I'm going to spread it out just like we did last time. That worked out pretty well. So let's start with some of the stuff that my mom gave me. Here's some green beans. Now, with just the executive producer and I living at home, we really don't produce enough food scraps. So we get some from my son and his wife. We also get some from my mom and my dad. So we always have a pretty good supply of plant-based food scraps. Now this is a lot. This looks like some bananas and some cucumbers on the bottom. Dump that out. Oh yeah, some cucumbers. Let's just kind of break those so the worms have easier access. And you can tell all this stuff has been frozen. So that helps the worms to get to it because on the cellular level, physical properties of the plant are breaking down because water expands when it freezes. So that helps us get the food kind of prepped for the worms and the microbes, and they can get to it just as soon as I put it in here. There we go, spread it out. I have a feeling when we check in here in another 2 to 3 weeks, we're still going to see a lot of banana peels. And then here's what we had to put in, but I think I'm going to save these bananas for maybe the outdoor worm bin. So it looks like we've got some good lettuces, some more avocado shells, some mango, cucumbers, and strawberries. We have a little strawberry plot, so we're going to have a lot of strawberries coming up. We actually love them a lot. That's why we grow them. Here's a peach. We got an apple core and all kinds of good stuff. I think I'll just dump it all in. We got a little popsicle in there. Oh, you saw shrimp? Oh, we got a shrimp shell. That should be interesting. I'm going to put that in the middle so it gets a lot of action. But this looks like, you know what? We'll just leave this in here. See if they attack it. Looks like a blueberry muffin. Oh, lots of shrimp shells. Okay. All right. This should be interesting. We are definitely going to bury this up so that that doesn't smell. But I know they will go for those shrimp shells. A lot of you have said that you use them, and I put them in my bins in the past, and they do pretty well. So check that out. That is a really good feeding. Now this is a ginormous bin, okay? If you have just a tote or something like that, this is probably 3 times that size. The amount of volume this holds is probably 3 times what's in my outdoor worm bin. Even though my outdoor worm bin is 20 gallons, it doesn't go all the way to the top, but this thing goes all the way to the top. All right, so next we're gonna go in with some worm chow, which is just some expired grains from my pantry, but I want you to notice I don't put a lot. I don't put a whole bunch of worm chow in. If you do have worm chow, don't put that much in at a time. All right, again, big worm bin, so it is much more forgiving than a smaller one. And then we'll go in with some coffee grounds. I'm going to spread those all around. And we have been drinking a lot of coffee, so I'm going to go ahead and put this all right here. We'll see how that's going. It is the winter time, so I'm not worried about things heating up. I probably wouldn't do this in the middle of the summer. And then finally, we'll go in with some eggshell grit, spread that all around. They use it in their gizzards in order to break down the food that they ingest. So wow, that is a really big feeding, and we had a pretty good depth of bedding in there. So I think this will probably keep the worms busy for 2 to 3 weeks, so that's when we'll check in on them. Now, if you just got a brand new bin, you are not going to be able to do something like this for probably 6 to 8 months. And this bin has about 10,000 worms in it. So if you only have 1,000, you need to put in 10 times less than what you see in here. In fact, that is the #1 problem with new worm bins. And I do have a video on that too. We just give them too much love. I have seen over the last 2 years that this worm bin can handle this much food. All right, so my mom gave me a lot of shredded cardboard. So we're going to go ahead and dump it on. Now we did already have a lot of bedding, so I'm just going to put enough, I think, that will, get it to cover all the food, but I'm not trying to bulk it up or anything like that. All right, let's just spread it so it covers all the food. And I may have to put some more in, I don't know. I do like the shredded cardboard. If you look, it is teeny tiny, and that's because I have a 12-sheet cross-cut micro shredder. And it does a phenomenal job of just taking the corrugated cardboard and getting it teeny tiny so the worms and microbes can get to it. And I have affiliate links in the description and pinned comment. If you want to check the different shredders out, I've had mine for 5 years, and I've been disintegrating cardboard in it for the last 4 years. All right, and this cardboard is nice and damp. You can see how many drips come out like that, and that's because the stuff underneath is a little bit dry. So we're gonna get this just a little bit more damp because I want to keep up the kind of castings that we got when we harvested this bin earlier. So I'm gonna try something that I haven't tried before, and that is I'm gonna put some burlap on the very top. When we were cranberry picking with our son's in-laws, they used the burlap to collect the cranberries, and when the burlap rips or whatever, they just compost it or throw it away, and this one had a hole, so we snagged it, and we're gonna do a worm bin experiment with this burlap. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and if you want to see my very first harvest in this urban worm bag, check out this video right here. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope your worm bins are doing fantastic. So happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now. Wiener dog, you're a disaster.